Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for our presentation on unlocking the power of the government purchase card. I wanted to provide a brief overview of our program prior to turning it over to our speaker. My name is Brandon McCall, and I'm with the Apex Accelerator at Southwest Virginia Community College. We are part of a nationwide network that provides businesses with the marketing know-how and technical tools needed to assist government contractors in being able to perform successfully under federal, state, and local contracts. We are funded through a cooperative agreement from the Department of Defense Office of Small Business Programs. We serve 19 counties throughout Southwest region of Virginia and are hosted by Southwest Community College and located on their campus. Additionally, we are also partnering with 5 other community colleges in the area: Mountain Empire Community College, Virginia Highlands Community College, New River Community College, Wythel Community College, and the Patrick and Henry Community College in Stewart, Virginia. Our services include being able to assist with registrations for sites like EVA and SAM.gov, helping you to know which certifications you can apply for, which programs, and how to go about those applications. That would be the SWAM program in the state of Virginia and the SBA socioeconomic programs like 8A, Woman-Owned, Veteran-Owned, and Hub Zone. We can help to interpret complex contracting regulations such as the Federal Acquisition Regulation and the DFARS regulations. We also provide market research tools as well as a bid match program. We offer proposal and solicitation reviews, as well as training events like today's, which we will list on our website calendar and provide and promote through our social media platforms. Of course, as we are federally funded, all of our services are provided free of charge. You just need to register with us as a client. I'm going to put in the chat our website, so if you'd like to reach out to us to get registered, you can do so via the Contact Us page on that website. Additionally, if you're not located in our service region, we can also provide you with the contact information for your local Apex Accelerator, as well as I'm going to place a website link where you can go and look for your closest Apex. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Randolph to start today's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. McCall. I really appreciate it. And I also like to send a special thank you to Ms. Dotson, the folks that were instrumental in making this opportunity, making available this opportunity. I really appreciate it. So, colleagues, I want to share with you a topic. Hopefully that is something that you've heard of before, but I want to give you a little bit more context today in terms of the government purchase card. My name is William Randolph, and I'll give you a little bit about my background in just a moment, but I just want to let you know that this is a valuable proposition for those thinking about entering or even scaling in the government contracting business. So over the next 55 minutes or so, we're going to be diving into government contracting, and unlocking the power of the government purchase card. Again, my name is William Randolph. I'm a retired contracting officer. This is what I did in the federal government for 26 years. I worked in the Department of the Navy, the United States Marine Corps, as well as the last five to 6 years of my career in Department of Homeland Security. And today, thankfully, I'm here with you. I retired in 2016, did a little bit of consulting around the DC metro area, and then started my own training and development company. So this is not something I read about, not a YouTube video or an Instagram post that I watched. This is information, this is strategies and tactics that we use in our government contracting business to put food on the table and grow our business. So let's talk about government contracting from a conceptual perspective. The government contracting environment has a spend category. It has a spend stack, is what I call it. Okay. Last fiscal year, FY23, the federal government spent on contracts and agreements $774 billion with a B, $774 billion. But that spending shows up in three categories. Okay, the first level of the stack is the micro purchase threshold. That's basically $10,000 and below when the government has the opportunity to use government purchase cards, similar to our credit cards. The next level above is the simplified acquisition threshold, reserved for small businesses. This is up to $250,000. And then everything $250,000 and below and above is considered, it's open market. You use other types of contract vehicles, even GSA and Federal Supply Schedule opportunities. But that normal government contracting cycle is long. It takes a lot of time. This cycle is often counted in months, if not years. It's been my experiences many times in my career that we had acquisitions, procurements that lasted years, especially if you're buying something large and significant. And learning that long version of the government contracting cycle, it's not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of stuff to be concerned with, to learn. I always call it a discipline because there are strategies, tactics, and tools that are associated with this activity. So there's actually a set of rules and regulations and best practices. It's a discipline. So to learn that discipline, it's not for the faint of heart. Here's what I pose to you, colleagues, that there's a faster way to start if you're entering the government contracting space, and then even to grow if you're already in the government contracting space, to grow a small business opportunity inside the government contracting space. And the strategy that I pose to you is a exceptional one to use, is the micro purchases strategy using the government purchase card program. Okay, so let's dive into the government purchase card program just a little bit. First, April 3rd, 2019 was my very first government contract. Okay, we were in the training and development business. So my very first government contract, Pennsylvania, Shippensburg University in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. Remember it like it was yesterday. This was my very first contract. And colleagues, I was a new entrant. I'm sure you've heard that term before. New to the government contracting space. Even though I had 26 years of experience, a lot of that experience didn't carry over from being from an employee to being an entrepreneur, to being a business owner. But I'll tell you, that first contract was a $4,800 purchase order, government contract, okay, via the government purchase card. It was a P-card order, contract swipe. We were talking in the morning and we were under contract by the afternoon. $4,800. Now, don't get me wrong, that $4,800 felt like it was 4.8 million. Okay, because it was the first piece of revenue for the business that proved it's like, it's real. I actually have something of value to exchange for money. But I know what it feels like to be a new entrant. And then over the next 2 years, we did over $200,000 worth of micro purchases. So I believe in this strategy. And I believe so much in this strategy that we've used it time and time again. And again, when we go back to the micro purchase life cycle, please know that that micro purchase life cycle is often counted in hours and days, not months, and definitely not years. Okay, this is emergent activity. These are emergent requirements. So it has a very fast sales cycle, which is very favorable to small businesses. So what are micro purchases? Let's just dive in and get the facts out of the way. What are micro purchases? As described in the Federal Acquisition Regulation, it is the acquisition of supplies and services using simplified acquisition procedures where the total amount is below, does not exceed the micro purchase threshold. Today, for about 90% of the spending at this level, the micro purchase threshold is $10,000. There are some nuances for construction. There are some nuances for blue collar support services. Think plumbers, electricians, HVAC. But for most, the micro purchase is 10,000. Micro purchase threshold level is $10,000, and the government uses what they call the Smart Pay charge card. There's a picture of it. They use that just like a credit card to make these purchases. Now, what's so favorable about this is that it doesn't require all the terms and conditions and contracts and proposals that the normal long form version of government contracting uses. In fact, the rules say buyers should consider 3 quotes. Now, if you know anything about government contracting, they have no problem saying, the government has no problem saying what you shall and shall not do. But even in this instance, there's lots of latitude. It says you should at least consider 3 quotes, but you don't really have to. Here's a few more value propositions on micro purchases. The authority for micro purchases is delegated, meaning pushed down the organizations in government contracting environments. So as a result of that, the people closest to the work, the end users, tend to be the individuals that have the purchase cards for use. So while most of the time in government contracting, people always want to talk to the contracting officer, contract specialist, the core, or maybe the program manager, those individuals don't have direct access to the purchase card. There's someone in the office that has the purchase card. So the people you should be talking to are the end users, The government purchase card is also the preferred method of payment. Whenever the government can use the card, they prefer to do that because it's efficient, it's highly effective. Okay, so that's a model to be used time and time again when the government is interested in doing purchasing at this level. It can be multiple strategies can be used with the government purchase card in terms of competitive environments. And again, it does not require provisions or clauses. So it's no long form contracts that need to be prepared. Now, here's another piece. We talked about all the good stuff. I want to make sure we talk also about the regulations. So the first one I want to talk about is there's a prohibition against using Chinese or Russian technology. Okay, the government has done the research. They have the evidence to say that there is often technology, information technology, telecommunications equipment that comes from China and Russia. It talks back to Beijing and Moscow. So the last thing they want is those activities happening. So as a result of that, there's a prohibition against using Russian and Chinese made technology or having those affiliations in your solutions. And then second, the government doesn't like TikTok for the same reason. So the app with the little videos, for the same very reason, they think the app is talking back to China. ByteDance, the company that is the owner of TikTok, is in China. So if you have any solutions, services, products that have TikTok in it, I don't know if this is a word or not, but I encourage you to de-TikTok it because the government does not like it. It is a prohibition. They shall not buy anything that has Russian, Chinese, or TikTok affiliations. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So let's talk about the numbers. I know somebody is thinking right now, it's like, oh, you can't build a business on $10,000 offers, $10,000 offers at a time. Well, I ask you just take a look at the chart. Okay, this is GSA Smart Pay. This is the program office that manages the purchase card. Their fiscal year 2023 stats, the yellow columns. See that heading in the first yellow column says spend under or equal to the micro purchase threshold, the MPT. The MPT is $10,000. So look at all the agencies spend. And when you get down to the bottom, $13.2 billion were spent on credit cards, $10,000 at a time across the whole of government. 13.2 billion. Okay. Now those $13.2 billion were spent via, that's the second yellow column, 17 million credit card swipes, transactions. Okay. Look at some of those agencies at the top. The VA is the largest user of the purchase card, followed by the entirety of the Department of Defense, and then Homeland Security, Interior, Justice, and Health and Human Services also have over $500 million worth of spending in those organizations on purchase cards, $10,000 and below. Okay. That's why we focus on this. And just in case, please know that if you have activity above the micro purchase, some government agencies have authority to use the credit card as a method of payment, fast, efficient payments above the micro purchase threshold. So that's that clear column in the middle, which says spending above the micro purchase threshold. Please note there's another $10.7 billion that are spent above the $10,000 threshold, $10,000 level. So in total, through the government purchase card, $24 billion a year. That was last year's number. And there's nothing that's to suggest that this year's number is going to be less than that. The number keeps going up and to the right every year. Okay, except for COVID year, 2020 was the only one that it broke the trend, but then it came back with a vengeance in 21. Okay, so $13.2 billion. That's why we talk about micro purchasing as a strategy. So here's the opportunity. Let's put it in a nutshell. 17 million transactions below the micro purchase threshold, $13.2 billion in purchases. 30% of those are in services. You know what that means? 70% is products, books, periodicals, spare parts, medical equipment, PPE, office supplies, furniture, things of that nature. So products, 70%, the lion's share. But 30% of that spend is in services. That's going to be important, about $4 billion. So that 30% is roughly $4 billion. That's going to be important in just a minute. Here's the number that's really sobering for me is the only, and I use that word intentionally, only 36% is going to small businesses. This is the area, $10,000 and below is where I think small businesses should be crushing it. Okay, it's large enough, 13 billion. They should be crushing it. But sadly, large businesses have a solid footprint in this micro purchases space. And then when you look at the socioeconomics categories, the underlying socioeconomics, the story gets more abysmal. Okay, the story gets sadder and sadder because when you look at the socioeconomic categories, that representation and participation in micro purchases is really, really small. 36%, about a third, a little more than a third. 709,000 folks, 709,000 purchase card holders across the whole of government. This is the customer base. Okay, 709,000 of them across government. They did 17 million transactions, $13.2 billion below the micro purchase threshold. So what does that look like? What do micro purchases look like? Okay, here's some examples of some micro purchases in the services space. I want to be very, very clear. In the services space, this is some of the options that services could be that could be offered at this level. There's also janitorial, there's also pest control, there's also document shredding and management. There's lots of other services, but what we're trying to do inside and outside of government is to show what's the art of the possible for use on the credit card. And here are some of the areas where the art of the possible lives for the services and environment. I always think about these as bite-sized candy bars. It's like the government is looking for small value propositions that they can buy fast at lower dollar values, high sales cycles, that they can test it out. Okay, you have to test it out. When I was on the government side of the house, we wanted to, whenever there was a small business that wanted to participate, the last thing you want to do is to do $1 million, $500,000, $600,000 contract with a new participant. But you might be willing to take the chance on a 10,000 just to see if they understand the business, understand the culture, understand government contracting, understand the mission, understand the language of the organization, and can help and can build relationships and provide value, and then have that connective tissue to that 25,000, 250,000, $2.5 million offer. It's a great place to start, especially in the services space. Now, in the products, lots of places for products. If you're in the product business, the GSA, General Services Administration, has a platform called the commercial platforms. And what they've done is they have sanctioned, approved, blessed 8 places where small businesses can participate in the providing products to the federal government. Amazon businesses, as you might suspect, is eating all the lunches in this space. There was a report that came out early last year that said that Amazon business in this space was doing about 91% of the business. So now, of all the business that's going, products business that's going through this system, Amazon is getting about 90% of it. But so all the other ones are participating. Here's what they are. Okay, here's the first 4. Most of them are in the again, all of them are in the product space, but they have varying focuses on the products. Those are the first 4. The second 4, here we are, and some of you may have heard of Grainger, definitely probably heard of Staples, but here's a couple of others that are in the industrial products business, also in the environment where the government is looking for office, facility, industrial supplies, and efficiency, highly efficient ways to buy services. So these are the areas for products. What we found, though, is that there was no one place for services. So we've got 8 places for products that the government has sanctioned, but there's no one place for services. So remember, when you're thinking about offers, there's a 4-part test for micro purchases, either products or services. It is something of value that the government purchases. It's something scaled at or below the micro purchase threshold. It can be purchased via credit cards or purchase cards, as the government calls them. And there's no Chinese or Russian technology or affiliations. And you would add TikTok into that as well. But here's a value proposition I'd like to pose to you, is that even for new entrants, this is a good place to start, because SAM registrations are not even required at the micro purchase level. There's an exemption. FAR Part 4.1102 says there's an exception for purchases under the micro purchase threshold using the government purchase card, that you don't even have to be registered in SAM. So we always encourage it. Okay, always encourage SAM registration, but this is a great place to start. Imagine being able to get some revenue while you build the infrastructure to be a larger, more mature government contracting business. So this is what it looks like. When I talk about maturity and moving up the value chain and having connective tissue, here's what it looks like for us. In about 2 years ago, I did a 1-hour lunch and learn for $995 on a Zoom call with 12 individuals. 12 individuals was on the call. Had an amazing experience for an hour. And after the hour, they said, William, could you come back, expand this content that you gave us in an hour, expand it to a half day. We're going to fly you out to Dallas, put you up in the hotel for a couple of days, and then come to our pricing and negotiations workshop for 85 people that we're having in Dallas, Texas. This is the connective tissue. This is how something small leads to something larger. And my answer was, of course, yeah, I think I can do that. Okay, so a 1 hour for $995 turned into a half day for almost 40,000, including travel. This is what micro purchasing, this is the power of micro purchasing. So if you're wondering, I pose to you that yes, you can. Yes, you can do it. I believe. Now, here's the challenge. Many are not. Many are not. We pulled this data about 6 months ago. This is the data of all small businesses that have done all the things to be registered and represented in the dynamic small business search. And these are their average 3-year revenues, which shows up on the site. Okay, we pull the data, and what we found is there were over 100,000 small businesses that have done all the things, have all the codes, made all the right connections, talked to their Apex, talked to their PTAX, talked to their OSDBUs. All the small business reps have done all the things except cross over $100,000 worth of revenue on average over 3 years. So I think this is the community that could be well served with the micro purchases strategy. Okay? In addition to that, all the others that have learned how to build and grow revenue, it's an amazing, in my opinion, it's an amazing growth plan. It's a business development strategy. How do you throw more seed? Okay, how do you throw seed and find fertile ground for small things that something small will sprout into something larger? So for growth-minded small businesses, I think it's a value proposition as well. So when you think about next steps, the next steps are, how do you be seen? How do you be seen? Because micro purchases are emergent, meaning it happens and there's a need right now, or there's a need this week or next week, or maybe the far as I've seen is probably next month. You'll never go into, you will rate, I hate to say never, but I don't think it's going to be hard for you to find some organization's long-range forecast that says that they're going to do a micro purchase in the third quarter of 2025. It just doesn't work that way. These are emergent and they're episodic, meaning it happens when it happens, it's happening right now. And they need something, they have a demand signal right now. So because of that, the challenge is, how do you be seen? How do you be seen? So we're trying to solve this problem for ourselves. Specifically, how does one look at the $4 billion of micro purchase services? Again, we talked about it. There's 8 places already for products, and they're battling it out. And right now, Amazon is winning most of those battles. But there's $4 billion worth of services. There's no one place to go look for to find and do market research for services. How do you connect those 4 billion of service needs that happen with the hundreds, if not thousands, of small and growing businesses that are looking for government access? And colleagues, that's where the idea and the concept of micro market was born. It's a two-sided marketplace that allows buyers and sellers to meet each other. So vendors and government purchase card buyers to find each other. It allows those vendors to build a storefront of listings. It's like, these are my micro purchase offerings that are up all the time. Once they're up, they're there. They're evergreen. They're always there. And then how do you wrap all of that in a robust credit card processing environment, which we use Stripe Merchant Services, because that's one of the challenges that the government has. One of their pain points is that when they are seeing individuals and they want to do business with small businesses, number one, do they or do they not take a credit card? And who's their credit card processing? Government is very concerned about and very skeptical about sharing their credit card information with just anybody. So for our platform, we use Stripe Merchant Services, the most robust, secure, cyber secured, governing, governing, governed platform for credit card processing in the country. And it's doing one thing. This connection is doing one thing. It's connecting those 709,000 card holders with new entrant small businesses, with growth-minded small businesses, and we're targeting that 30% of spend that is roughly $4 billion a year. That's what we're focused on. No one's planted a flag in this place. Lots of places for products, and again, Amazon is eating all the lunches. 90% of them are going to Amazon, but no one's decided that we want to serve small businesses in the services environment. So Micro Market is doing that. We're building a search, request, and selection process platform. It exists. It exists today. Micromarket.co. We want to build the most trusted, most efficient micro purchase services solution on the planet. We started in January, and we've been doing all the things to be ready for the fourth quarter season, which is now. 37% of the buying on credit cards happens in the last 25% of the year, meaning July, August, and September, fourth quarter. This is why we're here. We want to be ready. And what most important to us is that we're bringing the opportunities out of government, and we're offering them, we want to share them with the whole of the small business environment. We want to make sure that vendors have access. That's the thing that's most important. Here's a snapshot. Here's what it looks like. It's a two-sided marketplace, hyper-focused on services. Okay, we're not trying to compete with Amazon. That would be, I think, a futile activity at this point. Right now, we have over 565 vendors on the platform that have onboarded to date, and over 400 offers, paying productized services that people have described, put them into boxes, and now have them listed and available for sale by the government using the micro purchase credit card. We've identified the 14 categories that the government currently spends that roughly $4 billion worth of services. The one we extracted out was construction, because as we talked about earlier, construction has some nuances. We'll come back and get them, but we wanted to go with the ones that were we believe were the most effective, most capable of being adopted early on. We're not trying to recreate the wheel. We just want to give people a better wheel. Okay? Give them a better wheel. So 14 categories. These are the categories. Of course, the top four: consulting, education and training, professional services, and information technology are our largest, most prolific categories, but all of them have vendors in them offering their services. Now, one of the features that the government likes, and I didn't realize it in the very beginning, but every time I do a demo and every time we've had opportunities to share the platform and people come and do window shopping on the platform, is this post a request feature. Meaning, if a government purchase card holder comes to the platform, is looking for something specific, and they don't find it, they have the ability to create a request right there on the platform that then goes out to all the members on the platform that says, hey, here's a new need that someone hasn't addressed yet. You should come over and take a look at that. Okay, see if that's something that you can provide. Now, it's by category. So when a request is posted, it's reposted in a category. So it's only sent out to individuals that have listing representation in the category. Okay, so we don't spam people all over the place. One of the things I've despised when I was building my business is sometimes you sign up for these lead generation tools, and they send you 100 leads, and it takes you an hour or two to go through 100 leads to realize that only 2 of them are actually in your space, in your wheelhouse. So we didn't want to be spamming people. So we are only, the system only does outreach, does connecting to individuals in the category. Our company is called Think Acquisition. So this is what a notification looks like. It's an auto email, so it has a matching algorithm on the platform that matches by category, title, description, and or keywords. And you get a notification in your email that says, hey, one of your listings might be a match. You should go over to the platform and check it out. That's what it looks like. Then when there's a time to purchase, this one happened back in April, someone wants to order your service. So effective technical evaluations is a course that we teach, half-day course that we teach for right about $5,000. And this is what it looks like. So you get a notification that someone wants to buy something on the platform, one of your listings. And then on your side of the platform, you get an opportunity. It shows the on the left, the circle on the left shows I have an order. Someone wants to order this, and then I get an opportunity to accept it, reject it, or to negotiate if there's a date and time, good date, bad time, that type of activity. So that's what it looks like. So please know that the platform is free to join and it is free to list. Okay, it's free to list. There's a small transactions fee on sales. We'll talk about that in just a minute because everybody wants to say, okay, how does it work? What are the financials? We'll talk about that in just a second. But on the platform, there's information right there on the platform, on the homepage, at the bottom of the homepage on becoming a vendor. It has all the information on how to show up as a good vendor on the platform. It's right there. So I encourage you to go take a look. So the ask is simply, check it out. I believe every government contractor should have a micro purchasing strategy. Okay. Everyone should have a strategy. So we're not suggesting that the only strategy is micro market, but everyone should have a strategy. If you're in the products business, I would go check out the commercial platforms. Again, the federal government has a designated 8 of them as these are approved for products. Okay, but there's nothing for services. So come around, take a look. Again, it's free to list, free to join, and free to list. Micromarket.co, and we welcome you. Again, everyone should have a micro purchaser strategy. If you want to build your own infrastructure, great. If you're not interested in doing that and you want to leverage what's available, come on in and come on over, take a look around, sign up, get you verified really quick. Takes about a 24-hour period to get validated. And then you're off and running to build your offers, but you can go over and window shop for free. So at that point, I want to say thank you, and I want to open it up for the rest of our time. I want to open it up for questions, comments, thoughts, observations on micro purchasing in general, or micro market as a marketplace platform specifically. Please feel free to reach out. If you're on LinkedIn, please connect. I'd welcome the opportunity. If you want additional information, info@micromarket.co. That's the best way to get in contact with us, the team, okay, about anything micro market specific, to include onboarding or thinking about or thinking through your micro purchases. So with that, I just want to open it up just to have a open Q&A time, if you will. Please know I'm a former contracting officer, so I'm retired, so they can't come get me. So I'll tell all the secrets. If you've got a question, I've got an answer, or at least I've got an opinion. So I'd be more than happy to field any questions you may have in this space. Let me tackle the platform financials, because if we just get that one out the way. Basically, it's a 90-10 split. Okay, so whatever offer you placed on the platform, let's say you placed a $9,000 offer. You have a course. We have some $9,000 courses on the platform. 90% of that will go right back to the vendor, okay, or goes to the vendor. 7% goes to the platform. 2.9% plus 30 cents a transaction goes to Stripe for a credit card processing. So 7% plus 2.9%, roughly 10%. in fees and processing charges. 90% goes to the platform. Excuse me, 90% goes to the vendor. And we encourage people on the platform to just build roughly that 10% in. So if you've got a $10,000 offer, 9,000 will, excuse me, 1,000 will be consumed in the fees, and 9,000 will come to the vendor in about 48 hours. In about 48 hours. That's about how long Stripe takes to process it, and it shows up in your bank account. So free to join, free to list, and a 90-10 split on fees. All right. Questions, comments, thoughts? I will stop sharing, and I welcome any questions, comments, thoughts for the next 20 minutes or so. Anyone have any questions or thoughts or comments? I'd welcome to have a conversation with you about micro purchasing, government contracting, contracting officer secrets. Okay, I'll tell everything but the secret handshake. I can't give that one up. But outside of that one, I welcome any questions that you may have. If you want to raise a hand, just so I can control the room, or if not, I'll just start speaking and we'll figure it out.